I'm going to do what I can do through executive action. It's not going to be everything that needs to get done. And it will take time to put that in place. And in the interim, the minute they pass a bill that addresses the problems with immigration reform, I will sign it, and it supersedes whatever actions I take, and I'm encouraging them to do so.
The game is truly afoot inside the Beltway. It didn't take long for the President and Speaker of the House, John Boehner, to start playing verbal war games over the future of immigration in this country. But what's being said at ground level from the voters might make Barack Obama think twice. Then again, don't hold your breath. Let's go around the dial and welcome into MidPoint from Talk Radio 1210 in Philadelphia, where he holds court in afternoon drive time. Rich Zeoli joins us. Rich, thanks so much for being here.
Oh, Ed, thanks so much. You know, in that clip you played, the president sounds like a South Philly mob boss. You know, do it my way, or you know, call in the guys, and if you back off, then you know we'll make a deal. It's not a presidential at all.
Well, you have to think too what the president is saying, and you have to wonder if people on the other side are going to be taken in so easy. Where he says, and again, this is what one side hears: I'll go ahead and do what I have to do, whether you like it or not. And then pass something, and then I'll sign it in. You know as well as I do there are Republicans and people on the right, even on the left, maybe saying, yeah, you'll be signing it into law. We get it. We supersede. Yeah, we got it.
Yeah, exactly right. And that's part of the problem, right? Is there's no trust. They don't have trust for the president. They don't have trust that he'll come through on a deal. It's his way or the highway, and it's his way or there's no deal whatsoever. And there's a lot of voters out there who, frankly, I think are sick of it. And that's the message they sent on Tuesday, right? We want to have a say as voters. We as people want to have a say here in what's going on.
What does it tell you? Because apparently the president and his vice president, I don't want to say they got into a verbal tiff, but certainly there were a couple of words here, because apparently at a meeting last week, Joe Biden started to say something there, and the president just cut him right off when a lot of this talk about immigration was going on. He shut him down pretty quickly here. So doesn't that tell you that it indeed is just the president who wants this done? And there's a lot of people saying, you got to back off just a little bit.
Yeah, you even have Democrats and people like Chris Matthews who are coming out and saying you can't govern by executive order.
Chris Matthews came out against the president. Is there a tingle up his leg?
Yeah. I know the world stopped, Ed, for just like a moment when Chris Matthews was critical of the president. But a lot of people were saying that on the left even. I mean, I've got liberal callers who call the show and they're like, Zeoli, this is, even we say this isn't right, because the problem for them is, and they know this, the next guy who gets in there, if it's a Republican, well, they should do exactly what this guy's doing and do it their way or the highway. And there's a lot of people who are very skeptical of that, and they should be.
That's the thing. Now, I wanted to get to your callers here, because people would not think of Philadelphia as a city that would have a lot to say about immigration and immigration reform. What are they telling you?
Well, they're saying basically that you got to really solve the problem, which is employers hiring illegal immigrants, right? I mean, that's kind of the reason why they come here, is they can get jobs, they can get money. And there's been no talk at all from the White House about how we stop that, which is the primary incentive. They're also angry about the fact that, you know, there's no border security whatsoever. You've got people here who have kids, and they're concerned about their kids being in schools with people coming here that we don't know, being dropped in. They may have diseases, they may not. The point is, we don't know as voters, and they want something done about the border. Look, Ed, you know this. I mean, we go to the airport, and we are probed, and we're felt up, and we're scratched, and all these other things they do to us. But you can just walk in over the border seamlessly, easily, with no one even looking at you, and that's got to stop.
Rich, is there a feeling now from what you're getting from callers and else that right now the Republicans should just call the president's bluff? Stand up there and say, go ahead. I mean, John Boehner basically said, don't play with fire, you're going to get burned. But maybe somebody needs to stand up and say, you want to do it? Go right ahead. Let's get started right now. I tend to think that there might be people in America who would actually like to see that for a change. There's a lot of people who would say, let's stop, let's all get together, kumbaya. But maybe we need a little bit of that Philadelphia mob boss mentality now.
Hey, well, look across the river at Chris Christie. I mean, and Chris Christie would be in there and he'd say, this is what has to be done. This is what we got to do. And people respond to that. If Boehner and McConnell don't take leadership here, if it looks like they're acting as the number 2 B team, Republicans, conservatives like us are going to be very, very upset. No, these guys need to come out immediately with a plan and say, this is what we want to have happen here. Let the White House say no to them for a change. You know, come up with a list of things that they want to get done. Let the president be the guy of no all the time, instead of them being perceived as the people of no. They need to make a plan. They need to pass it in the House and Senate very quickly, but really make a case that, hey, now that the voters sent us here and we're in charge, This is what we're going to aim to achieve very, very quickly.
In your opinion, are conservatives and Republicans now after the midterms, do they believe that the leadership that's in Washington right now, Boehner, McConnell, and others, have the guts to do what needs to be done?
Sorry, Adam.
There's the answer.
Yeah, right, exactly. I think there's your answer. No, that's the problem, is that we've seen these guys leading before. Everybody who calls my show, they're saying the same thing. We need a change of leadership here, because these guys they've too many times, they've capitulated, they've rolled over, they get in the room with the president, they come out going, oh, gee, gosh, golly, he's just so charming and persuasive. We need guys with backbone, and I don't see it coming out of those two. 2016
election is held tomorrow then. In your opinion and what your people are telling you on the air, who's the Republican candidate?
Tell you, they like a few people. Scott Walker emerged Tuesday night as really like the man, 3 times elected here, fights back the unions. He's very bold. He's courageous. And I asked the question the other night, does his quote unquote lack of a college degree bother you? Overwhelmingly, Ed, people called the show and said, absolutely not. They love it. He's the alternative to the sort of intellectuals that we've had running the place for so long. But they also do like Christie around here. I mean, it's Christie country. But a lot of people worry, can he get through a Republican primary? If he's the establishment guy, I guess you could say, well, then maybe he'll have a chance. But if Jeb Bush runs, don't expect Chris Christie to run, in my opinion. And a lot of my libertarian-leaning people in my audience, well, they love Rand Paul. They think he's standing for a lot of courageous initiatives. But it comes back to a question, which I think you probably hear a lot too, which is, do we really want a senator versus someone we know who's been tested as an executive?
Is there any doubt in your little neck of the woods right there that Chris Christie is going to go ahead and take his shot, regardless of the fact he may not play well in Iowa?
Christie's going to run. The only thing that, in my opinion, would stop Christie right now is if Jeb Bush announced that he's running, because it's the same people, same donors, same campaign people. He can't go against Jeb Bush. But Christie's been putting people in place for months now. He's got people up in Iowa. He's got people in New Hampshire. Christie is running for president. There's no doubt about that in my mind.
Oh, yeah, he's been putting people in their place, all right. That's part of the problem why he wouldn't play well in Iowa the way he does it sometime. Rich, been a pleasure to have you on the show. Afternoon Drive, 1210 in Philadelphia. That's Talk Radio 1210 in Philadelphia. A pleasure, my friend. We'll do it again real soon.
Thanks, Ed.
All right, thanks a lot. Short break, and we return with the possible killing of another blowhard terrorist leader. We get the real intel from Lisa Ruth. And at 51 minutes after the hour, softball questions for the president and another declaration of my way or the highway from the Sunday Squawk. They speak, we report it, you listen, then we'll talk. Stick with us. We question everything right here on MidPoint.